5 comic book runs that you should read immediately from 5 different companies.
Hi, welcome to Garage Geek. So Cade's Comics did a video where he highlighted 5 comics that you should read, or 5 graphic novels, or 5 comic runs that you should read, each one from a different company. I wrote to him, I was like, we should make this a thread. So please jump on this. And if you don't have 5 different companies, just doing the top 2 or the top 3, that's totally fine. Now, my legion of fans have been demanding that I put out a video, for example, the top 10 graphic novels that you must read. Now, I've always hesitated to do something like this because I have huge gaps in my knowledge of comics. For example, there was a period of time when I didn't collect comics, and I'm still trying to fill in gaps of that. And so I just don't feel in this case that I'm a worthy source for something like that. But this kind of video is great because you can ignore the entire body and just focus on something that you read that was really, really good and that you would like to share. So I'm going to start with DC. Now, during the New 52 run of DC, it's much maligned. And whenever someone does malign it, I actually ask them, him or her, why, mostly him, because I'm curious. I actually like the New 52 run. I think the art overall is really nice, and a lot of the stories are really good too. But what comes back is that it's pretty lackluster overall. DC did a reboot with the Rebirth. Okay, but I am going to pick something from the New 52 that I think was outstanding, and that is the Wonder Woman run by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang. I just think the art overall on these, I was drawn to the art. Like, it's very different. So let me go to the first issue, and then the first graphic novel. And I'm going to show off some art here. I just thought the art style was very different for a title, one of the top titles for DC. And I started reading this story and I was hooked. They totally changed, the writers of this, totally changed the mythos of Wonder Woman, introducing, in many instances, there are a lot of new gods, but the gods that were already there are shown in a very modern way, and they're very interesting. So every time a new god shows up, they're just very modern, and like I said, just a new take on the gods. And I was a fan of this artwork. Now, normally this kind of art that isn't necessarily realistic, this is my favorite, but I fell for this hook, line, and sinker. Now, I don't have many of the comics from this run, the covers, but I'm going to go ahead and show some of them because that's what initially grabbed my attention, that art. Okay, so this might be a reprint of number 1. You know the difference because of the color, the background color. I think the original one has a red. I'm not sure. So this is number 2. I have the first 5 issues. And as you can see, the art is very stylized. And I need to pick up more of this. I find these covers... She's fighting Cerberus there. So the art, I think, is really astonishing. It is backed up by a story that is very interesting, very intriguing, with all kinds of twists, a lot of cliffhangers at the end of issues. It just keeps you going. For that reason, I'm going to choose Wonder Woman's, the New 52 run. And I'm also choosing this because it's readily available in many different formats. If you're an omnibus person, then this is put out in omnibus form. If you're into not deluxe editions, what are they called? Absolute editions. You can get this beautiful art in the Absolute edition. It's in trade paperbacks, and if you like floppies, you can easily find these for not too much money. So that was number 1, DC. So then we're going to go to Marvel. I'm picking Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil. Now, there have been a lot of stellar Daredevil runs, but Chip Zdarsky, I believe, is still doing Daredevil now. I could be wrong about that. Okay, and I haven't caught up with this currently because they changed cover artists. But what I did was, initially, when I saw this art, I had to buy the individual issues, and I'm going to show you why. So I consistently bought this. I mean, look at that cover art. It's stunning. And then after I had about 10 issues or so, I was like, well, you know what? Let me just read this because I have a consistent run in the floppies, so I don't need to wait for the graphic novels. Look at that. And I'm only going to show one more. Now, the interior art is not as consistent, but what is the story. The story hooks you. It's very good. And so even though I think the interior art is a bit inconsistent, the artists change, I initially grabbed them for the cover art, and then I got hooked by the story. And that's perfect. I think that's the way to get drawn into comics. So I'm going to show you a more recent one, kind of. This is the Alien variant. And it's still got that beautiful, beautiful art. And you can see, can you see? Oh, like there's the head. It's a little bit hard to see because it's dark. But anyways, gorgeous, gorgeous cover art with the story to back it up. It's just such a shame that the interior art is a little bit spotty. But hey, once you start reading it, you won't care because the story is that good. Number 3, I'm going to go to Image. There are so many great stories to promote with Image. Now, Cade's Comics picked the one that I would go to. Number 1, hands down, is Killer Be Killed. So that is an absolute must. You have to read it. But for our next pick, there are a whole bunch that you could. I recently did an overview of Paper Girls and compared it to the show. Cade's Comics said that he is going to feature Paper Girls coming soon. From there, I could have gone many places, but I'm going to pick Gideon Falls. The art in this is stunning. The covers are very interesting, and the interior art is just gorgeous to look at. The line work, like look at this. Like look at the hand. Like it looks like an etching. Like instead of it just being total black, it looks like it's been etched. And that's consistent. I mean, you can see that. It's just a different style of art that really, really works for this dark, dark story. Let me show you, for example, the covers often have some kind of head in some kind of pattern. And you can see this. Now, what's really nice about this art is that there are so many splash pages and double page spreads. I'm trying to find one with a lot of information. And you can just sit and look at these and look at the art like you're seeing something new each time that you look or you go through it, and it moves your eye across the page. These spread pages, I'm calling them spread pages instead of splash pages. These spread pages are awesome. Here's almost a splash page. And like I said, this story is dark and the story is very good. The story changes from volume 1. Like here's a kind of a double spread, but with panels. So they do interesting things with the art, with the layouts. Like look at this. Now, is that a double page spread, or does it have panels? But actually it's both. It's like a double page spread with like a line of panels across it. It's like interesting and innovative use of the page. Here is another one of those covers with a head in the shape of a cloud. Oh, look, there you go. There are those teeth, right? You're going to see those on the back. I will say that from volume 1 to volume 2, the story changes, and this divides fans, but both of them are very good. It's just the story changes, but it's still beautiful art. And in number 2, you have cockroaches. Like, who's not going to want to read about cockroaches? You don't want to see them, but you definitely want to see them in art. Look at that, like giant cockroaches running around. No. Like, that is just gross and creepy. I guess I'm gushing on and on about Gideon Falls. This is readily available from Image Comics. Highly, highly recommended, not only for the art, but the story and the way it changes and evolves, beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to some more independent-y type comic companies. Now, this is where my collection is kind of lacking. I have a limited amount of money to spend each month, and so I'm very focused on getting the Epic collection. This AWA Upshot, they were putting out this zombie, apocalypse zombie story. And you know, it's been done to death, but it was, the first issue was the first collection, I think this was $10 in the store. And I just thought, you know, come on, fun zombies, just read it and see if there's any teeth to it. Now, the cover art is what draws you in. That was one of the covers. I actually remember when this was published as an issue. I think I have this. Always, like, this is actually nice. But what I am going to say is it gets ramped up in the second volume. Now, what is this? It basically follows a cast of characters. I think there's either 4 or 6 of them. And it follows them through the outbreak and what they do to survive. And they're separate. And then the second volume has a new cast of characters, but it does the same thing. But the art in this is way better. Now, for example, there's the cover that you saw already. I just want to show you, like, this art, a risque kind of panel. Like, look at that one. Like, that is really beautiful art I mean, it's showing something sleazy, but yeah, this art is so good. And I'm going to say that from volume 1 to volume 2, it actually got better. Now, I don't know if there's going to be more, but these 2 volumes are cheap and they're readily available. I recommend that you pick them up. And so there you go. And that, again, is from AWA Upshot, and it's called Year Zero. Now, if you're not into zombies, they have put out other types of material like crime, drama, and those are very good too. I might feature them in an upcoming video. All right, and the final one is going to be Harkening to the Past, right? Reissues. So I wanted to keep it modern stories that you could jump right into, but these things are just too good to be true. There is a reprint going on of the original EC archives, and for example, there's science fiction, shock suspense stories, vault of horror, incredible science fiction. I think there's even more. I don't have them all yet, and they're being put out by Dark Horse. And look how big they are. So this art is just on display. I've been to a couple comic conventions, and I've noticed that they actually did reprints of individual issues. And wow, would I like to get my hands on the whole reprint set. Just like, look at that gorgeous art. Creepy and gorgeous. Like, this one is fun. She's like, sob, I wish Ralph would come back. Be careful what you wish for. So let me just go ahead and show you something. So, some examples. Oh, and by the way, these things are relatively very cheap. So they're about $20 US, but when you buy them online, they're about $12. And when you consider how much you get for that $12, first of all, when you read something like that, the older comics were a lot more wordy. And so you're going to have that. But then you're going to also get these great pages where they just blow up the art. And look at that. Oh, that was the same one as the cover. So let me pick a different one. Like, look at that. They just blow that art right up. I mean, you can't go wrong. This stuff is golden. And to be honest, I've never read this stuff. And so for me, this is like comic book and art education, because so many of the artists in this, they're very well renowned, but because many of them maybe didn't do superhero comics, I don't know about them. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and actually show some of the covers of the other ones. For that reason, I am picking Dark Horse's reprint of the EC archives in paperback as my number 5. Now, these are all readily available in like deluxe editions, if that's what you're into. They have hardcover slipcases, and then they just have hardcovers with the paper around it. What is that called? I don't know. And then now they're putting out these affordable. But look at the size of them when you compare it to a comic. Right? You're getting this art in this gorgeous format. So I've gushed on enough. Which ones are you interested in? Was there something from one of these companies that you would have picked over what I chose? If you're interested in this, would you go ahead and make your own video, and then please let me know, because I will definitely promote it and watch it. And also go over to Cade's Comics and check out what he's doing, because he makes very nice professional videos unlike mine. I want to thank you for your support.